I met Monica at a wedding, not ours obviously but someone else's. The kind of over-the-top wedding where the cake is taller than the bride, and the groomsmen all look so proper and stiff in their suits, like they are set in starch. I wasn't supposed to be at the party. A friend brought me but he got drunk and left. I was stuck alone at the dessert table. There was a big machine that flowed melted chocolate like a small waterfall. It's called a chocolate fountain. People were dipping fruits and cakes into the chocolate. That's where I met Monica. She was dipping a strawberry into the chocolate. She was stunning. Not in the loud, obvious way, more like someone who knew exactly how to be looked at. Effortless. A silk dress that clung just enough, lipstick a shade of red that made you forget how words worked. She looked like she belonged there. I looked like I belonged in the parking lot, directing traffic. But for some reason she spoke to me. "You've been standing here for 5 minutes," she said, her voice smooth. "Are you waiting for the chocolate to cool down or just hoping it'll drown you?" I laughed, a little too hard, and said something painfully average like, "Just weighing my options." She smirked. I was hooked. Please, I need you to subscribe. It will go a long way in encouraging me. I know you are dying to know what happens next. Now back to the story. We talked about the cake, too sweet. The bride's dress, too big. The groom's speech, too long. My awkward charm met her sharp wit and somehow it worked. She said she liked that I was down to earth, which I later realized was code for, not wealthy but at least you're funny. A year later we were married. And for a while it was good. At least I thought it was. The cracks didn't show up like dramatic earthquakes. They crept in quietly, like a slow leak in the ceiling. It was the way Monica made small comments that sounded sweet but felt like tiny paper cuts. "Oh, you're wearing that shirt again? Bold choice. You're so funny. My ex was hilarious too. You'd have liked him." Her ex. Let's talk about him. He was the shadow in every room. His name didn't come up often, but when it did, it was always paired with something I apparently lacked. He was taller, fitter, more successful. According to Monica, he could grill a steak perfectly and quote poetry. I was none of those things. But I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself love was about seeing past all that I didn't need to be a walking highlight reel of manly perfection. Until one night, during a stupid argument about who forgot to buy milk, Monica crossed a line I didn't know existed. I said something like, "It's just milk, Monica, why are you so worked up?" And she shot back with, "Well, at least my ex knew how to satisfy me in bed." Silence. Not the quiet, peaceful kind, the kind that buzzes in your ears like a broken wire. I laughed, not because it was funny but because my brain short-circuited. "What did you just say?" She blinked like she hadn't meant to let that grenade slip. "I didn't mean." "No, please," I cut her off, my voice steady but loud. "Tell me more about how your ex was a bedroom Picasso. Maybe I can take a master class." She muttered something about being tired and not wanting to fight, but the words were already burned into my brain. That night, I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling while she slept like she hadn't just poked my self-esteem. And something inside me, the last fragile thread holding my confidence together, snapped. I wasn't just sad. I was embarrassed. For the first time in a long while, I felt something new. Not rage. Not self-pity. Anger. Quiet, steady, burning anger. And that's when the plan started forming. I was going to rebuild myself, not for her but for me. The morning after that night, I woke up feeling like I'd swallowed a brick. Monica was already in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, sipping coffee like she hadn't set my self-esteem on fire the night before. "Morning," she said without looking up. "Morning," I replied, my voice hoarse. I felt like a guest in my own house. The thing about a comment like hers, about her ex being better in bed, is that it doesn't just sit quietly in your head. It paces. It taps its foot. It pokes you when you're trying to focus on something else. I replayed it over and over while brushing my teeth, while tying my shoelaces, while pretending to read the news but really just staring at the same sentence for 5 minutes. At work, I Googled, how to rebuild confidence as a man. The internet did not disappoint. There were articles about unlocking your alpha male energy, and YouTube videos with thumbnails of guys flexing their biceps while standing next to sports cars. Honestly, it was a lot. But somewhere in the multitude of all that, a simple idea hit me. I needed to stop waiting for Monica to validate me. Step 1, the gym. I hadn't worked out in years. The last time I saw a dumbbell, I used it as a doorstop. but I found a cheap gym nearby and signed up. Day 1 was a disaster. I picked the lightest weights and still felt like my arms were going to fall off. There was a guy next to me bench pressing what looked like a small car, and I tried not to make eye contact. When I got home, Monica barely noticed. "You smell like sweat," she said, wrinkling her nose. "Shower before you sit on the couch." Cool. Real supportive. Step 2, self-improvement. I dove into YouTube, videos about confidence, body language, and speaking skills. Some of it was cheesy, but a few hit home. One guy said, "Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build brick by brick." That stuck with me. I ordered a couple of books too. Nothing too heavy, just ones about self-esteem and communication. Monica saw the package when it arrived. "What's this?" she asked, flipping through a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving AF ***. "Just something I'm reading," I said. She smirked. "Trying to be a self-help guru now?" It wasn't a joke. It was a jab. A small, sharp one, but a jab all the same. And yet, for the first time, it didn't sting as much. Because for the first time in a long while, I wasn't doing this for her approval. I was doing it for me. The change didn't happen overnight. It wasn't like I woke up one morning with a six-pack and unshakable confidence. No, progress looked more like me talking to myself in the mirror, practicing lines like, "I deserve to be respected," and "No, Monica, I actually don't think that's funny." I was still going to the gym, still watching self-confidence videos, though I stopped clicking on the ones with shirtless dudes yelling about dominance. I focused on small wins. Holding eye contact during conversations. Speaking slower instead of rushing through my words. Saying no without feeling like I owed a 5-minute explanation. Monica noticed, but not in the way I hoped. "You've changed," she said one evening. "You're different." I was folding laundry, something I used to do half-heartedly, but now, even the way I folded shirts felt more intentional. "Is that a bad thing?" I asked. She hesitated. "I don't know. You just seem distant. Arrogant, maybe?" That hit me sideways. Arrogant? Me. But then I realized what was happening. I wasn't actually being arrogant. I was just no longer bending over backward to shrink myself. And that's when I knew this version of me, the one slowly learning to stand taller, wasn't the version Monica wanted. The final straw came a week later. We were at dinner, some new restaurant Monica wanted to try. Halfway through her third complaint about the waiter's attitude, she slid in another one of her signature remarks. "You know," she said, stirring her drink, "I don't even know why you're suddenly so into this gym thing. It's not like you're ever going to be like him, you know?" I didn't need her to explain who him was. I set my fork down carefully, so carefully it was almost comical. "Monica," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I'm done." She blinked. "Done with what?" "This. This marriage where I'm never enough for you." Her mouth opened, then closed. "I'm tired," I said. "Tired of fighting to be seen. Tired of being compared to someone who isn't even here." Silence stretched between us. When we got home, I packed a bag. It wasn't dramatic. I wasn't flipping tables or storming out. I just gathered what I needed and left. That first night alone in a cheap motel room, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. Sadness for what we never were. Relief for finally choosing myself. The next few months weren't easy. There were nights when I questioned if I did the right thing. Moments when I missed the familiarity of Monica, even if that familiarity was often laced with pain. But bit by bit I built myself back up. I kept hitting the gym, not for revenge, not to show her, but because it made me feel strong. I kept reading, kept practicing speaking with confidence. And one day, as I stood in front of a mirror, adjusting a shirt that actually fit me well for once, I realized something. I wasn't trying to prove anything to Monica anymore. I was finally living for me. For the first time in my life, when I enter a room, the ladies look my way. When I speak, people want to listen. In a way, I am grateful for Monica for letting me work on this part of myself that has been latent all my life. I am sure there are many like me out there who are the butt of all jokes, the shadow in the room, too self-conscious to be your true self. But I want to tell you, just like me, you can work on yourself, and with consistency you should see result. Brick by brick you can rebuild yourself. Please like and subscribe for more stories. Drop a comment, telling me where you are viewing this from. The story needs to go viral.